Hey, welcome back to Rob's Garage Woodworking. Today I'm going to make some drawers for my miter saw infeed and outfeed table, and I posted a video of that the other day. So the first thing you've got to do is you make your cutting list. So you've got to measure your drawers, leave yourself a little bit of gap here and there so that the drawers will slide in and slide out. And these are utility drawers, so it's going to be very utilitarian construction. Anyway, basically it's kind of a mess here, but you come up with a plan, see what size drawers you want, how you're going to make them, all that sort of thing. And then what you're going to do is make a cutting list. So I'm going to rip the wood first, and then the sides and the front and backs, what I'm going to do so that I maximize the amount of material I get out of the sheet stock is I'm going to cut half of the fronts and backs and then half of the sides on these, so I get 3 of the sides and 3 of the fronts and backs at the same time. So just so that I can use more wood, so it works out. So anyway, I'm going to start ripping 3 1/16 pieces here. Alright, so now we've set up our fence for 19 5/8, and I've tried to go from one of the teeth of the blade of the saw, because they stick out a little bit further than the blade. Set up my stop block on my fence, clamp it with the C-clamp, make our first cut. We'll see if it's the right length. So you just slide this. That's the whole reason that you make this miter saw fence. So you just take your wood, and you repeat all your cuts, just slide it along till it hits, and make your cut. Now the last one, we want the width to be exact to this. So we're going to use this as our template. And we set our stop block here, which is 7 7/8, and just crank that in nice and tight. And let's do our trial cut. Alright, so now that we've got all the wood cut for our drawers, now we're just going to glue them and brad nail them together with 1 1/4 inch brads. Alright, so I've got the drawer bottom. And what I've done, because I don't have any varnish on this yet, so I've got a piece of newspaper underneath that fits. So we'll do the sides. I'll put them on. So we're just going to run a bead of glue. Doesn't even have to be like real fancy, like really nice or anything. We're just going to do not a utility drawers, we're just going to do some utility work with them. So yeah, put them in, slide them into place, hold them, brad nail them. Actually, it'd probably be better this was here. So we're going to do the front and the back. So put this here. Oh, also what I should be doing, what I should be checking for, is you want to put the good side of the drawers on the front, and I'm going to put all the good sides on the outsides of the drawer. So from this one on, put all the good sides facing out, because one side is better than the other. So alright, so there's your drawer, real simple. Alright, so what we're going to do here is I'm going to finish the top of this miter saw workstation with stain and a polyurethane finish. So I've got Minwax penetrating stain. This is the early American color. And then this Wood Shield clear coat polyurethane, and that's with a gloss finish. And that's just going to give this a protective layer just in case somebody sets a drink on it and it sweats in the summer, or somebody brings something in from outside and sets it on my tabletop, you know, after it's been out in the rain or whatever. So, you know, I know what other people are going to do, so got to prepare for that. And I've given everything a sanding, including the drawers. I've given them all sanding. And so we're going to stain all these and clear coat them to protect them. Alright, so now we're going to put the handles on the drawers. So I've already stained them and varnished them. And I have a Craig drawer pull jig. And this is for cabinet doors and drawers. To go along with that, I got the Craig Automax wood project clamp, and these are really awesome because they'll fit any size thing and they'll clamp it to like an even pressure. So it doesn't matter what size a thing is. If it's real thin or real thick, it clamps it to the same amount of pressure. And you can adjust that with this little thumb wheel over here, which is really neat. Wood project clamp, and then the Craig cabinet hardware jig. And so you set up your jig, you find the size of your drawer pulls, right? And you have to line those up. And then if they're not on the same lines, like this is 4 and the other one's 3.5, to adjust this so that it's straight, so it lines up, you actually move it over 1/8 of an inch. So anyway, all the instructions are in there. It'll tell you how to do it. And then the back part, so I've measured where I want the centers to go on this. So I've adjusted this, which you can use the thumb screws at the front, and where your drill guides are, there's like thumb screws on those as well. So it's all really easy to use. So you put your mark on it here, you line your jig up, you'll see through the top where the center is, and then you can either hold it by hand or you can clamp it with this fancy wood clamp, which is really handy. I really like this. I'm going to buy more of these for the shop, I think. You just clamp that on. I need to tighten that for this job. Anyway, and then drill your holes. So it's really good. And then it's very repeatable. So, yeah. Let's tighten that a little bit. Alright. So then, I just pull my tape off. Now, because I made these drawers really thin, like I've just made them out of 7/16. So, because of that size, the screws that come with the hardware, so I wanted to buy utility grade hardware, but I couldn't find utility grade hardware that was inexpensive. It was $3.50, and these worked out to be like $1.50 to get a 10-pack of these. So I just got a 10-pack of these, and they come with the screws, but of course they're too long because normally your cabinet would be like a 1/2-inch faceplate and then the 1/2-inch drawer all the way around, and you put your 1/2-inch faceplate on top of that, and then you put in your screws. So I ended up having to buy some 3/4 inch. So these are 8x32 by 3/4, and you put them in, and I had to use, because what I really need is 5/8, so I had to use 2 washers on those. And I just put those in, screw them into place, and just do all the drawers like that. And that's it. Finished product, right? So. Alright, so here's the finished product. The drawers are really simple. There's no drawer slides or anything like that. There's no faceplate that goes over the front. Just real simple construction. They're a utility drawer. You're not going to use them constantly, so you don't have to do anything fancy with them, and you don't have to spend any money on it either, right? The whole idea is to do things effectively and inexpensively, if at all possible. So anyway, so this is it. So you can slide them out. You can bring them out so that it's easy to access. They tilt a little bit. You can pull the drawers out. You can say, for example, you want to put something up here. You know, you need to clamp your workpiece or something like that. You can pull the drawer out and clamp your workpiece, and then you can work on it, right? So it's things like that that make this kind of a usable design. And then, you know, you don't necessarily have to use drawers. If you just want it open, that's great. You can just leave it like that. I wanted some drawers, and if I need them open, I can take the drawers out. So my drawer at the end, okay, see how it comes out. So it can open enough that you can access it. And if you, so what I did was I put a little spacer block here, so when you put the drawer in, it looks centered. When you bring it out here, because it's close to this edge, so you can slide it, sorry, you can bring it out, right? It's close to that edge, so you can slide it over like this, right? And then you can open it a little bit further. But if you want to open it all the way, take that out, and then you can remove it all the way. Alright, so the first video I did was just my miter saw workstation and how I attached it to the Husky tool cabinets, and then how I mounted them to the floor and to each other. Second video was the drawers, obviously. My next video is going to be my pegboard backer board, and I'm just messing around with this right now, but I may have a tool shelf and then the pegboard. So I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing. I'm trying to figure this out as I go, because there's certain things that I like a certain way. Yeah, so this is my old tool display cabinet, which I don't really have room for in the new garage design. So this was set up in my old shop in my old house, and right now I don't have a good spot for it. So right now it's sitting on the floor, but I need the space for my drill press, and I need to put a garage door back in behind the drill press to allow access to the backyard for bigger things. So my original idea was to put my tools along here in this recess, but I find this is a really good tool shelf. So when you're using your tools, you're working on stuff, you just set them behind on the shelf while you're working on things, right? So with that shelf space there, now I have to look at, well, what am I going to do differently? Because I was going to use that as my tool display area, so all my drills and things would sit there nicely. But I kind of like having that recess, so if my pegboard starts here, I can have pegboard to like from here to here, and then maybe make a display shelf along here, and then on over top of that I'm going to have upper cabinets that I'm going to make, and that'll be another video. And I'm going to make those super cheap, or that's the plan. I'm going to try to make them super cheap. I'm going to make one and see if it works, and then if it works really well, then they'll be the cheapest cabinets that you could possibly make. So I'm pretty excited about it. Anyway, I'm going to work on that. So yeah, that's the next step. Put the pegboard there, maybe some display shelves here, and then the cabinets over top. So I'll probably do the pegboard and the display shelves at the same time, make a video out of that, and then the cabinet video will be separate. So anyway, those are the plans. Hopefully I'll get to that soon. So anyway, thanks for watching.